Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Excelsior, the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast. I'm your director, Christian Buckley, here for your Halloween episode, joined by the Apex Legend, Jack Martin.
Excelsior.
That was good. You know what? That was more Halloween spirit than this game will have for the next calendar year.
Yeah, dude, not even a little candle, little baby candle somewhere. Scott Amos, you personally, can you personally put a candle in the game, please?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I asked for. But no, yeah, we're expecting more Halloween stuff next year. But I guess the Halloween stuff will have to come from our side.
Yeah. So to get in that spirit, is there anything you're doing Marvel related for Halloween this year?
Marvel related. Not
a Spider-Man
as of
costume
now.
in that house?
Do I have a Spider-Man costume? Oh, you know what I do have? I can send you a photo of this if you want to insert it later.
Sure.
I have a old Spider-Man alarm clock.
Okay.
Like specifically Sam Raimi Spider-Man alarm clock, where Spider-Man used to climb a building, and at the very top, Green Goblin would shoot out.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's the Marvel thing I have, and it's not Halloween related. How about you, Christian?
There's a Captain America costume in this house somewhere that I haven't worn in 5 years probably, so don't know where that is. But other than that, not much. What's a little scary is I didn't play the game Marvel's Avengers really at all this week, and we will get to that, of course, as well as what else has been going on, some updates about future content, a little bit of clarification following up our roadmap prediction from last week. With some info that came out almost immediately after recording. But before we get to any of that, let's just start off the way we normally do with Fury's report, going over what to expect this coming week in the game. First step, priority missions are back.
Yay.
We barely noticed.
Yep, sure did.
The low power mission this week is Mayhem over Manhattan. Off the top of my head, I think that's one of the iconic Captain America missions. I think
that sounds correct.
Yeah, because last week I started doing more of the iconic quest lines. All I have left are Cap's final one, and I haven't started Hulk's iconic quest line yet. But the first Cap one is Rocket's Red Glare, and I think the second, because I remember seeing this title, so I think that's probably the second one. And the high power level is Agony on the Agony and the Anthill. So I think that's, is that when we defend the anthill from that Metal Gear?
Possibly. Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basing it purely off the title. You know, the campaign missions I don't think had super memorable titles.
No.
But I can't think of any other mission where we're defending the anthill, you know?
Yeah. This might be in the Utah. I would assume it's in Utah.
Yeah.
And there's a mission where you're with the guy who teleports, Theo, and you're essentially just like going around rescuing Inhumans with Theo. So that might be it.
Yeah, good point. That might be it, actually. So that's what your priority missions are for the week. If you want your quick and easy path to some alright gear, get into there with your heroes. Hopefully your drop is good. But for, honestly, the thing that I really enjoy doing every week, the Harm Room. This week, the Harm Room challenges will give you Thor, God of Thunder #3 from 2012. I don't know what the stat buff is for that, what collection it's part of. But I hope maybe that's the last Thor I need, because then I could just pop in, get that, and then I get a nice buff for my Thor.
There you go. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I know we talk about the comics you can drop every week, but I have yet to actually go in and see what I'm missing.
Yeah. On the whole, I think the whole collectible menu in this is very cumbersome, and I almost just don't look at them because there's too many menus.
Yeah, also, like, not to discredit it or anything, but the buffs you get from them are kind of minimal, so, like, I barely even notice. I think I have a couple completed sets, but I don't know what benefit I get out of them. I think it's like 0.03% total willpower buff or something like that. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I've never chased or grind to get a comic book. Usually they just pop up in strong boxes.
Yeah. So, worth noting. But some lighter news. We talked last week about the marketplace sale, slashing prices like Wolverine. Takedowns are now half off permanently. 1,200 down to 600.
Excellent, as it should be.
Yeah, because it's 1,200 would be $12, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot for animation.
Sure is, and I think the animations are on loop. I don't think you can choose them unless I'm mistaken. Pretty sure it just adds it to the possible takedowns you can perform.
Mm-hmm.
So, $12 for a takedown you might get every once in a while is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would say even $6 is a lot, but step in the right direction, definitely. And hopefully this indicates a shift to, what Wolverine has done, like what you said, slash them prices in the marketplace. Because a lot of fans, like we were mentioning last week, have sort of said that the prices are sort of ridiculous in the marketplace, especially for a $60 game. So I think it'd be great if they continue this throughout the entirety of the marketplace.
Yes, I agree. Again, I have not. We're going on 6 weeks now, maybe 7. I have yet to purchase something in the game, in the marketplace. But yeah, seeing the sale was good. The community was very vocal about wanting that to continue, and I'm with you. I think this is a good step. I personally don't see myself buying many takedowns unless there's unless they really get me with some weird dumb meme and it's oh, I need that. I need Thor flossing with Mjolnir and then he just accidentally kills a guy with one of the swipes.
Yeah. No surprise for me, but the only takedowns that I have ever considered in a game actually purchasing or looking into are the Apex takedowns. For example, Wraith has one. She has portals in that game, for those who don't know. And when she performs a takedown, there's one where you can get, and she will send her enemies through a portal as a takedown, which I think is incredible.
That's cool.
But I haven't seen anything on that level yet here.
Yeah. Destiny has takedowns that I always really want, but again, it's not something I will easily cough up money for, but some of them are they get a lot of pop culture references. There's some simple ones, you make a ball of light and then you spike it like a volleyball, but they also have, some Dragon Ball stuff, in there for some reason. It's pretty cool, and I'd love to see them get a little more creative, I think the standout one I've seen for Thor, it's called, Ben Franklin's kite or something. He throws an enemy up in the air, and they're, spread eagle, and then he does does the contact thing with the hammer to make it connect and shoot lightning into it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, that's the standout one I've seen. I can't tell you any of the ones I've thumbed past for Iron Man or anybody, but I'd like to see them get a little more creative with the marketplace.
I agree.
But we do know they are working on some other instances of improvement like that. Specifically because there's another patch out, 1.3.4, that is live as of this recording and release of the episode, which includes a lot more quality of life things. Falling through the world as Cap occasionally when you do the shield dive is one of the highlights. Pretty standard, smoothing out matchmaking, small bug fixes, issues like that. Nothing major, I would say, nothing game-changing. But in the War Table blog this week, we got some insight into what is currently in development. Of course, bug fixes, but new content as well. Pulling directly from the War Table, they said this includes new features for the core game, like the upcoming ping system, but primarily the big post-launch releases like Operations. We've got teams working on the Kate Bishop, Clint Barton, and future content releases, as well as doing preliminary work like script writings, castings, and voiceover recordings on even more post-release content. Do you have any immediate takes on that?
I was gonna maybe say this for Stark Realities, but I guess I'll just throw it in here. It's funny. I was thinking about this today. This game, and I said this before, This game is decidedly old feeling. Like, it's as if this game, the developers, like, worked on this game with, like, blinders on and, like, didn't see what was happening with other multiplayer games at the same time. Mm-hmm. And we're like, here's the game, it's 2015. And they're like, and the reality is like, it's 2020. Look at Apex Legends and all the other things that they've done, and be like, oh no, ping systems and stuff like that. So, yeah, they're definitely like full-fledged making this game feel more modern, at the same time adding content to the game, which is sorely lacking right now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of their main focus right now, and it feels like those things are still kind of far away. I feel like for the past few weeks, it's kind of been a dead zone for us in terms of, like, dates. Like, we don't really know when things are coming. We have a general idea.
Right.
So, yeah. But yeah, it seems like they're focused on modernizing the game and making, and perfecting and, like, making content for the future. With, like, script writings and stuff, so it's exciting, but it does seem far away.
Yeah, for sure, because that was a lot of what we talked about last week with the looking forward, predicting November, December, January, up until, like, April, I think, and it seems like we might have to adjust those expectations a little bit, which we'll get to momentarily, but they also mentioned in the War Table that they're working on doing modified content, which is modifying the existing content that is out there, and they cited Tachyon Rifts as one of those examples. And I know you weren't super hot on Tachyon Rifts in terms of new content, but if we can consistently get maybe like every 2 to 3 weeks a new Warzone type that is modified to the extent of a Tachyon Rift, like reusing that map, those enemies, and your rotation of objectives with slightly more of a modification than like the weekly modifiers, like this implements time. Maybe a new one would implement like, hey, run it solo, like this Warzone is only playable solo with one hero, like no other supports. Like if we can get that type of modified content maybe like once a month, I feel like that would be, again, another good step for me, even if it's not significant.
Yeah, those are small little content updates that I think are needed. Nothing major, of course, but like something to keep the game slightly fresh while awaiting the bigger content, I think is necessary for this game. Mm-hmm. So I hope, I agree with you, I hope that sort of continues. Even though I didn't really like the Tachyon Rifts, I know some people do. And if we can get stuff like that, that's nice.
Yeah, because odds are eventually you'll like one of them, right?
Yeah. Roll the dice.
Yeah. One last thing in Fury's report I wanted to shout out. In the U.S., the holiday shopping season is approaching. I normally do Black Friday with my hometown friends. I can tell you I am not this year because I'm trying to be safe and smart. So Amazon and whatever other places I can order games or cheap things to make me feel something, I can do it on. I will do that.
Cheap thrills to make you feel something.
Yep, that's where I'm at right now in my life.
I'm with you right there.
One thing I think is, I would feel like this is a win, though, if I stumbled across this based on my knowledge of this title. Avengers, at least at Best Buy right now, it will probably be the same price in other places. On Black Friday, it will be $30 to get Avengers physically, and it will be forward compatible with, if you buy it on Xbox One, you can play it on the Series X. If you buy it on PS4, you can play it on the PS5 disc version, because it is a disc copy. But yeah, look forward to that. If you've been waiting, if you are playing it solo and you've been trying to convince your friends to dive in, I think $30 is a very appealing price point for this game, considering the campaign at least is really good, and everything else is just, it feels fun,
Yeah, I agree with you. I was saying this, I think, during our review discussion of this game, where I don't think I would have recommended this game to everyone for $60, because I hovered around like a 7 or like 7.5 for this game. Mm-hmm. And I totally understand that not being worth a $60 price tag. But I think for $30, like what you're saying, it's very appealing, and I can definitely recommend this game to a lot more people for that price. So I think that's great. But you did mention that it's solely the physical copy, right? So you would have to go out in stores, or could you get it online through Best Buy?
So I'm assuming you'd be able to get it online just because of COVID this year. Like, I don't
Right.
know. It might be a state to state thing. We're in Massachusetts at least. I don't know if Black Friday is having extra regulation, if it's even allowed to happen. But because I know in Massachusetts at least, like most stores can't open the Thursday at all. It has to be at least midnight.
Yeah,
So I could see it again vary. So like check your local area. I would just recommend not going out, but
definitely.
seeing this game hit $30, I would believe you'd be able to get it digitally since there's a lot of crossover that entire weekend with like actual shopping and Cyber Monday like internet deals. And Best Buy is just the first retailer to post anything right now. The PSN usually has a sale, like a digital sale. I believe Xbox does as well. So I could see Avengers hit maybe slightly above 30 for the digital version, but I think it'll be on sale, you know. If I had to make a bet, I would say it might be even cheaper on Walmart. Walmart for game prices on Black Friday usually gets very, very, very cheap. So be on the lookout. You know, if you've
Yeah.
been waiting to dive in, if you want other people to play with you, keep tabs.
Yeah, convince your friends. I would assume that most people that listen to this have the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're looking for friends to squad up, let them know about this deal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening to this and you don't have the game, thank you very much for listening. And yeah, I think if you've been listening to this and you've been considering the game, but you don't want to spend the full price on it, totally understand that. I think $30 is quite nice for this, and I would recommend it.
Yeah, like I spent $70 on this to get it a little
True.
early. I only have I haven't had any regrets at all. But I was like, you know what? Did I really have to do that? That's the only like doubt I've had since then. But for $30, absolutely, yeah, I can recommend this to any of my friends for that price.
100%. Yeah.
So that does it for Furious Report. Why don't we get to our updates? Despite praising the game and telling people that they should get it if they're interested, I didn't touch it this week.
Yeah. To be, nearly 2 months in, this is the first time I think the two of us haven't played in a given week, because I didn't play either. At this point, Christian, it really feels like, for me at least, there's nothing really to do, because at this point I've gotten 3 characters up to 150. And even that, at right now at least, kind of, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a waste, but like to have done that by this point, I really did that for nothing, because in a game like this you level up your character for the high level quests and stuff, specifically like the raid, and since the raid has not arrived within the first 2 months, they're kind of just sitting there. And of course, like, you can do the Mega Hive and all that, but yeah, there's really no point for me at this point, 2 months in, to really check back once a week, which is sort of unfortunate.
Yeah, I obviously out of the two of us during this show so far, I've been the one who hasn't hopped in during the week. I think like 1 or 2 times. And yeah, this week between exams for school and I'm trying to catch up on Destiny as well, because Beyond Light is very soon, the new expansion. So Avengers has not had the spotlight for me. But yeah, I still have, like I mentioned earlier, I still have a couple quest lines to finish. Like I have to do, like I said, Hulk. I have to finish Cap, but I want to get Cap to a higher power level before I get his automatic legendary, the gold. I still know the names behind him, but the gold gear for Cap that's tied to his final iconic chain line. I wanted to wait until he was a higher level to try and roll that.
That's a good idea. Definitely.
So I have both of those. I still have to do I think I have one last step before I unlock the 14 floor hive. and then I know I have Iconic Avengers. So I still have some story-related content in the Avengers Initiative, but I've been wanting to space that out for, again, like I said, getting Cap up there, maybe get Hulk to be a little higher level before I run through his. And yeah, other than that, now that I've completed the Mega Hive and it was that draining, and I really did not feel very rewarded for it in terms of the exotics that I got out of it. The next time I run that is when I have a 150 Cap and a 150 Widow, so there's less pressure on me to just get it with Thor only.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, outside of the minimal story content I have left, I'm just looking at high level content, and the high level content is just the one thing that is very time intensive for a very solitary experience, you know.
Yeah, it's sad right now because even if we play together, there's really not much we can do that's like worthwhile.
Yeah, it's
right?
like, hey,
So,
you
like,
want to go open boxes?
yeah, this is decidedly a multiplayer game, and they don't make a lot of arguments to play with your friends. There's really not that much you can do that you can't just do by yourself. And in fact, there's kind of more things to do by yourself than there are to do with your friends, namely the Mega Hive.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And-
it's a little sad.
And for listeners, like, despite the two of us hosting the show together, we've played it like 4 times maybe together, 5. Like,
Yeah, including the beta.
Yeah, and every time it turns into the same thing, kind of. You know, it's not like it's like, hey, so we can do a vault, I guess. You know, and that takes a little bit, but yeah, I would really like a survival mode that's not necessarily like the Mega Hive type deal, just like a true, you're in this arena, survive as long as you can, and then we just, like, by the end of it, you're just spawning bosses or something. Like, something on that level, I think, as a co-op experience would be really welcome. And this is coming from
like
somebody.
a wave sort of
Yeah,
situation.
like
That
a
reminds
horde
me
mode.
of yeah, horde mode, or I think it was firefight from Halo. I think ODST, and then it was repurposed in other games. But yeah, that'd be cool if it'd be like survive X amount of waves, and see how long you last, or get to the last wave and get out of there, get your rewards. That'd be great. That's a really good suggestion.
Yeah, I would love to see something like that, even if it was a limited time event. I think that'd be fun. If we have to wait until Marvel Zombies for next Halloween to do that, that'd be a bummer. But just like, I do feel like there is other multiplayer content that could be implemented pretty easily. Or easily in quotes, you know, I'm not a dev, but
Yeah.
it's stuff that makes sense. You know, like a horde mode makes sense for a co-op experience.
Yeah, I'm hoping for something challenging because I haven't really been challenged by this game. I don't know how you feel about that, but I feel like it's mostly been fairly doable. Especially once you get to 150. Like, I haven't really encountered too many issues.
Yeah, like, I know Thor is very high level when it comes to his heroic abilities, but like, I had some gear equipped that had my heroic stat for Thor at like 7,000, and I was like,
Wow.
melting enemies, you know? So like, it's fun. It's a ton of fun to have Thor be that strong. But that's popcorn, you know? And it's a different type of medium, so the comparison doesn't super match 1-to-1, but like with a Marvel movie, it's like, yeah, it doesn't challenge you much, you know? It's a lot of fun, it's popcorn, but like, it's 2.5 to 3 hours of popcorn, you know? And like,
Yeah.
this is a game that they want us to be playing either daily or weekly, right? I would honestly daily, because there are dailies. And even I think last week I played a lot, but the week before that, I was only in for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes every time I logged in. So like, I really would love more incentive to play with friends outside of it making the game easier, I guess, you know, because that's really the incentive you have right now, since there is no necessary, you need more people for this specific type of game mode. You know, we don't have that yet. That's the raid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a raid. that's pretty much what I'm looking forward to. And we've been saying this a lot, but I really, really hope, and I'm expecting, but who knows with this game at this point, since a lot of things have been delayed, and it seems like they're really trying to retool this game. But I hope this time next year, like, the game is dramatically different in a good way, where everything that we've wanted has come true, and the future is bright for this game. Right now, like, you can tell the devs are like heads down, trying to fix as many problems with this game as possible. Because right now it's just sort of dry.
For sure. And why don't we just make the formal transition to Stark Realities? We've been leaning into it with the conversation a little bit, but in terms of the future, we do have confirmation that the next War Table presentation is in November. Last week, after Jack and I did our predictions of a roadmap, which I think is still worth watching. It was fun. We had some good ideas.
Yeah. I think, like, the content of the roadmap that we laid out is feasible. Yes. I think the dates will dramatically change, but yeah. I think it's interesting what we sort of laid out.
Yeah, I agree. So probably like 3 hours after we recorded that, the Twitter account posted a video Q&A with Scott Amos and somebody from the PR team, I think, on Crystal. And they were doing a Q&A. They asked for questions from the community earlier that week. It was a lot of questions that sort of prompt the answers we expect to see. But one of the highlights that I thought was when Scott Amos was asked about Kate. And he said, we don't want to put a date on it because we know how disappointing it is when we don't hit that date. And we learned our lesson multiple times, I think, speaking to having to delay Kate to begin with, as well as delaying the actual game earlier this year. So I can respect that, like, put a date on something when you know you'll hit it. But the way he answered the Kate question made me a little worried, because he said, I promise you, Kate Bishop will be here before the end of the calendar year. And when I heard that, I was like, oh. So when Jack and I were saying, oh, easy November release, maybe not.
Yeah, to me that screams December. Like, yeah. Clearly he's covering his bases, and I know they want to have Kate as soon as possible, which would be, obviously at this point, November. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he's saying before the end of the calendar year gives a lot of wiggle room. Yeah. And immediately shifts our suggested or projected timeline of what they'll release. And his quote also sort of makes me think that we will only see Kate this year, and Hawkeye will, presumably based off this quote, be pushed to early 2021.
Yeah, I think that's a safe. If you keep your expectations there, I think that's safe. Because I'm just checking it. There's 9 weeks left in this year, and we are about. Trying to do some math. I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're about 9 weeks out from launch, so we're kind of in the middle of a dry spell, I think. And Kate, if I had to guess, considering the War Table, video War Table, is hitting November. If I have to put a prediction out there, I'll say we get the presentation the week of the 13th. And at the earliest, we get Kate the 27th, maybe? Well, that's tricky, because the 26th is Thanksgiving. Do you think they'd do a huge content drop on a holiday like that?
Maybe. Like, we've been talking about this, but they want to have these content drops, like, to spike sales of the game. And I guess that would make sense to position that around Black Friday. Mm-hmm. So it's possible. But I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, having stuff around holidays can be tricky.
Mm-hmm. But I think you make a good point in terms of spiking game sales, right? Because, like, I'm looking at this calendar, right? And that's the best thing we can do right now is just try to look at the calendar and see what we're feeling.
Yeah.
I do think the War Table's the first half of November. Because it's
Yeah.
been a while since they've done a formal presentation for this game.
We were
And
expecting like month by month, but yeah,
mm-hmm.
they missed out entirely in October.
Mm-hmm. So considering, I think let's just say the week of the 13th. That's a Friday. Um, Probably nothing the next week. The week after that's Thanksgiving, so maybe that's when they try to get another bump in sales with that half off price. And then the following week is used for people to play through the main campaign, and they drop Kate December 4th.
Yeah, that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really thinking. I think I'm agreeing with you. I think Kate is more likely in December than November at this point.
Yeah, so if we can all just try to prepare for that, I think we won't be disappointed. At the very least, we'll be surprised, you know?
Yeah.
There was another thing that popped up this week in terms of future content, and it's another one of these concept art leaks that we saw in past weeks. I think the first one we got. Did we get a Kate? No, we got a Hawkeye leak, and he looked like a biker from the Tour de France.
Boy. Yeah, he sure did.
That was the first one of these. Then we got our roadie one, War Machine, last week, or the week prior. And for this week, as of today, actually, this morning, I saw a leak for, skip ahead maybe 30 seconds if you're sensitive, Black Panther.
Oh, yeah. No surprise there.
What do you think of the design?
It's definitely unique.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the Play Avengers subreddit, and people are mentioning like sort of like nanotechnology and how that's seemingly not present there, because this one looks more like a suit of armor that Black Panther like pieces on like piece by piece.
Yeah.
Instead of like the connected nanotechnology present in the MCU Black Panther suit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks cool. He looks more like a knight in shining armor than anything. But that's definitely a unique take, and I'm sure there will be an MCU skin or an MCU like skin, or there'll be some cool skins for Black Panther, I bet. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I might just be saying this because I watched it like 2 hours ago, but it reminded me of the Mandalorian armor a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like the breastplate. But yeah, I think it looks good. It's definitely it's a unique take, much like some of the other designs or design choices for some of the costumes on the Avengers. But like you said, he's gonna have a million costumes, you know, or a handful of costumes with a lot of colors. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's potential. You know, I'm excited to see how that translates into the world design for Wakanda and maybe what other enemies they introduce into the game with him. But yeah, I don't know when we'll see it because we still haven't seen anything from the other two characters that have leaked via concept art, but worth putting out there.
Yeah. We shall see. We were hoping early 2021. I think within the first 3 months. Hoping that's still a possibility, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe we settle on February for Black Panther now.
Yep.
Maybe that's what we do. But, yeah, other than that, like, how are you feeling in terms of your future with the game right now? Do you think it's going to continue being something that you pop into weekly, or was this just an off week, you needed a break? What's your main focus on right now with this game?
I think it's a game that I pop into semi-regularly, like, with the content drops. Like, as of right now, like I said, there's really no reason for me to jump back in. And that's... I was going to say it's more on me, because, like, I've gone through and, like, done the 150 for multiple characters and done a lot of trophies and stuff, but I think it's also on the game, too. There's really not much new content that has come since launch, which is unfortunate, or nothing like worthwhile, I would say. So yeah, I'm really waiting on the bigger content drops as the weeks go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I didn't power through a lot of the stuff. Like I said, I do have some hanging threads on the Avengers Initiative, but I'm really I'm really hungry for the raid. Like, I really, really want to see that. Even if it's not the raid and we just get the Omega level threat content or whatever it is, the cloning lab, like, at least a new multiplayer thing that I need other people to play with, you know? Like, I know the high level Tachyon Rift thing, you need at least 2 players, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, a true experience you really need to rely on a friend for, you know? Because the thing is, I can still play a solo Tachyon Rift and get that
Yeah.
experience.
It's
I want something that's only you need your Avengers.
right. It's funny because usually with these types of games, I'm usually like, I just want to play it by myself. But yeah, this is really the first example where I'm like, I want multiplayer content to play with you and to play with my friends who have this game. Because there really isn't that much there to challenge you in a multiplayer context. So hopefully that comes soon. I'm really hoping that comes soon because I think that will introduce a much needed element to this game.
For sure. So maybe we get some of that content drop or at least more details on it at the next war table, but that is where my attention is at the moment. Do you have any other final thoughts on the state of the game or your experience with it this week before we start closing up?
I just, like I said, I don't think I'll be playing it too much in the coming weeks. I think we've definitely reached a significant lull with this game. And I think Kate will be the start to change that in the hopefully not too distant future. I'm really excited for the War Table blog, the War Table video.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think they've done an excellent job with those, especially 2 forward. They've done some good jobs with those, so interested to hear from them again because we've had a lot of communication with them through Reddit and the War Table blog, but not a person's voice or face from Crystal talking to us. So good to hear from them sometime soon.
For sure. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it too. I think they improved, like you said, so hopefully they have a lot to share when that rolls around. But before we wrap up, it's time for our little fun bonus segment. Meanwhile, ... You see this Spiderverse suit that got added to Miles Morales?
Oh yeah, dude. That looks excellent.
So can you explain it very briefly, what it does, what it is?
Sure. So if you've seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, you'll recognize Miles Morales' very unique suit in that, where he basically spray paints an old Spider-Man costume and to make it his own. And what's really unique about the art direction in that movie, aside from just the incredible unique animation that they do, they make Miles Morales move at a slower frame rate than any of the other Spider-Men or Spider-Woman, Spider-People in that movie, to make him sort of really stand out as a newcomer and someone who doesn't really have their stuff together at this point in his life. And that suit and the ability to add that sort of motion is present in the new upcoming suit for Spider-Man Miles Morales on PlayStation 4, which is super exciting. Personally, I was listening to Kinda Funny Games Daily today, and I sort of agree with what Blessing from Kinda Funny said, where it is a cool thing to have in the game, but I will, if I can, probably turn that feature off because I want to fully experience the frame rate of that game, and it will be a little jarring to see Miles doing that. But I will definitely swing around the city in that suit with that feature on because it's cool. It's cool to have.
Yeah, I love how it looks. I know some people don't like the low frame rate style of animation. I think when it works, it really works. The recent Fire Emblem did that for cutscenes, like you said, Spider-Verse. So seeing it in game, I got chills. When he jumped off the roof and he did the pose from Spider-Verse, I was like, oh man, I'm not turning that off. I'm wearing this suit the entire game.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious to see how it works when I'm playing it. Because watching it, I think it looks amazing. But I'm curious, what you brought up, if playing it's gonna make it feel a little off. But we'll see.
Now, is this a pre-order bonus? I think you get it day one if you pre-order and a little bit later on if you don't. Do you know?
It's free, and you can earn it at any point in the game. But I don't know what you have to do to complete it and earn it. But if you pre-order it, you get immediate access to it.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's fair.
Mm-hmm. And it is coming to both the PS5 and PS4 versions. So wherever you're playing, you'll be able to rock out, play that sweet Spiderverse soundtrack, swing through the city at Christmas time. Oh man!
Nice. Now, Christian, sell me on the game. First of all, I'm getting the game. Like, you don't have to sell me on the game itself. Right. Should I get this physically or digitally?
I think that depends what PS5 you want to buy.
I want to get the disc version of the PS5.
Okay. So if you want to get the disc version of the PS5, I would maybe buy the disc version. Mm-hmm. Do you have the standard Spider-Man on disc?
I do.
Then yes, I would say buy the disc version, just so you get both those cases right next to each other. You can pop that Miles disc right into your PS5, and it's automatically the PS5 version.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah, I kind of want to buy it physically too, just so I can put it next to the case for Spider-Man and just get those really clean box arts next to each other. But yeah, I'm excited for the game too.
Yeah, definitely. And dude, that's in a little over, I don't know, it's like roughly 2 weeks, I think, at this point. Week and a half, November 11th, I believe, or 12th, something like that. So that's, for Marvel fans like us, that is very exciting. And I think that'll be a day one purchase. Also, $50. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'll say this, Agents of Excelsior, if I know Marvel's Avengers is on every platform, but if you'd like to hear us talk about Miles Morales, because I think we're both playing it around launch, let us know, and we'll maybe do a little segment during one of the episodes about some thoughts on it.
Sure. We can expand into sort of other realms. The show, of course, started off as a MCU podcast, so yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in the weeks where this game is a little slow, maybe we dip into some other Marvel content if y'all are interested. But until then, Jack, where can the Agents of Excelsior find you?
Sure, you can follow me on social media at FascinatedJack. If you like Pokemon, we have a show called My First Mon. We finished up Crystal a few weeks ago, and we are in the sort of planning stages of Emerald. Like what Scott Amos said, you can expect that show to release before the end of the calendar year. We're not sure about the release dates. I'm thinking probably after the semester ends, because Christian's very busy with his semester. I'm very busy with mine. So probably sometime around there.
Yeah, that's fair. If you want to follow me on anything, it's Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Chris and Buckley. This show is available on youtube.com/joyclicks, where we're getting very close to 2,000 subs. So if you're a video viewer, thank you. Appreciate it. Always love to see people in the comments down below. And the show's also available on podcast services like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We are the #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast, and we like to keep it that way. So if you are new to the show, or if you haven't done so before, you can go over to your platform of choice, give us a 5-star rating, maybe leave a review if you want to. It helps the show out a ton, helps the show reach more people, and we can just keep having a good time talking about Marvel together.
Dude, I really think at this point, it's been close to 2 months. I think we're going to keep that title for a pretty long time. If no other podcasts have popped up about Marvel's Avengers, and we're the only one. Yeah, I think we're gonna be the reigning podcast for a while for this game.
Absolutely. So now the next job, right? We finished up everything. You know, we got our conquest as Palpatine Vader. Now we expand
into the unknown. We just have to regions.
Grow. Yes, go to the outer rim. Get all these people that they've never played or maybe they play Marvel games. They never listened to a podcast in their life.
Oh,
you know. We get him in.
We can do it.
If you want to get involved further with the shows, though, patreon.com/joyclicks. Like Chris Sakas and Aaron Easton do at the $5 tier for producer credit. Thank you very much. We have a bunch of other stuff to check out there as well. But that does it for your spooky-themed, kind of scary episode of Excelsior for the week. But yeah, until next time, hope you enjoy. Hope you like whatever takedowns you can get out of that marketplace. And until then, Excelsior.
Excelsior.